$11 million. I mean, first off, I really don't want to lose that money. I mean, everybody in this room pays taxes, and you know what? That's even though it's federal funds, that's your money. And I will tell you, anybody that's familiar with the government knows that whenever you give a grant back, that's it. Okay. I mean, number one, it's going to be very difficult to ever get another grant, but that's your money. And so I hope nobody's out there saying, completely forget it, okay? Because there are things, if it turns out that we can use this money, there are things that we can do to improve that intersection without maybe a 2 or a 2A. But I also agree with what Alderman Subak had said about, and even the mayor, as far as we can't vote on them, because if we vote on it today to do a no build, now I'm thinking about it, it's like we're sending the wrong message. We're sending the message to the federal government, to the state, that we don't want your money, we don't want your grant. But that's not true. We do want their money, okay, because it belongs to everybody in this room. So my question, Mr. Mayor, would be how long before we can get a definitive answer on whether or not we can use those funds, either from the state or from the federal government? Because I think at that point in time, if it comes back that we can't use those funds, then there should be a vote at the council level as to which direction we're going to go.
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, I don't think I can give you a definitive date, but what I'll do is look into it right away tomorrow, and I'll check both through there's a number of different governmental agencies I have to go through, and obviously you as a council, and I don't have any control over how quickly, but I will see that I can get an answer as quick as possible, and hopefully before you meet again.
Okay, well, I think if I can just add, I really believe, okay, that we really do want to do something, okay, to improve the area. I mean, so if we can keep these funds in town, we want to keep them in town. I mean, because like I said, I know a couple of years ago, some money was given back. We had a grant, and some money was given back to the state, okay, and from a grant. And now, as a city, if we try and go for another grant with the state right now, they're going to pretty much tell us, take a hike, I mean, well, the money was given. I won't go into why, but let me put it this way. Nobody on this council or as any of the elected officials had anything to do with the money going back. It was the previous manager that was in this position that did it. And things were just not the way they were supposed to be. So that's the bottom line on that. But again, it's important to understand that when you have an opportunity to get grant money, if you can get it, you take it. Because as I'm sure, Father Kevin would tell you at the church, if he can get donations, he's not going to give them back, okay? You don't. You never give them back, okay? And that's the idea. So you look for things that you can do that are going to help, the community. And I think that's what we can and will do.
In addition, IDOT said that they thought that they could have an answer back to us within 48 hours regarding the potential use of that money. They also suggested that it is not uncommon to go back to the sponsoring congressman to modify the language if necessary to expand the parameters and give you additional possibilities on how you use the money. They said that is done quite normally. Alderman West.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. Now that in your report, which you haven't got to your report yet, obviously, that we're going to not move forward with the roadway on, does that mean our CTE is still going to pursue on the engineering for the safety concern now, or are we putting a halt on anything on this project right now until we find out what the money? I mean, is CTE still going to pursue with another option of look at the safety issue in that intersection and try to come up with a turnaround plan, or do we put a halt on it until we find out if that money could be? But because I don't know if the federal is going to give us any more money, knowing that it may not turn into a grade separation now. It sounds like the council's opinion here, and that I'm getting here, is that now it's maybe going to a safety concern. My question is there going to be funding there to have CTE move forward with the safety issues in that intersection, knowing that we took the road or whatever we proposed here?
Can I answer this?
Let me go to Mr. Williams.
There's already been some changes from CTE on other alternatives rather than Division Street. We've already looked at some other safety enhancements and considered those items. However, that particular, the funding that we have, again, this is not taxpayers' money, these are grants and we're getting from the outside. We had planned to continue on since we do have the funding and it does not affect anyone's taxes here in Wooddale. And some of that can be used to look at alternatives as we do the grade separation. They've already spent $2.5 million looking at all these different alternatives. And we did look at, for example, having the train station exit out the other direction. However, to get further funding on that, we'd have to apply for CMAQ grants, we'd have to apply for other grants, possibly have to do some tax increment financing. That money would have to be directed towards that project and completing phase one. We're almost completed with phase one.
Alderman Subak.
Mr. Mayor, you are looking for a vote under 7A from the council, even though you're doing it as a mayor's report, you are going to be looking for a vote, because I think the people have come to the meeting and the 700 emails or the petitioners, they deserve at least some direction of what we're trying to do. And the conversations I've had with many of the parents of kids at Holy Ghost, neighbors, because the first 5 years or 7 years it's going on, I probably got 1 or 2 phone calls, very little. And again, I appreciate the outcry. I think it is a public project that we need input from everybody. Somebody in Dalewood, I think it is, one of the engineers, sent a fabulous email questioning a lot of the issues, and I'm glad that's going to be part of the record. But I think we can vote on 7A tonight, and I thought, Mayor, that you were going to try to look, again, as part of another reach-out program to still make some other decisions and changes with this project and still try to move forward on some of those other issues.
Absolutely. The intent will be, we'll direct CTE to come up with a new plan. We will go through the full public hearing process once again. It'll be heard at committee at the city council. We'll have a public hearing on it. We'll go to the chamber, we'll go to the church, we'll go to any other organization and get as much public input as possible. So that will be a full hearing on whatever new plan that they develop for the use of the 11.4 million. Anyone else wish to address the city council? Yes, sir. Sir, you need to, for video purposes, you need to go to the podium. Thank you.
Steve Micus, 337 North Hemlock. Mr. Williams, you're saying that this money that's out there isn't our taxpayers' money. I'm not sure how the Treasury would get that money if it wasn't from all of us paying our taxes. So when you're using that kind of language, kind of blows it off. That is our taxpayer money.
Mr. Williams.
I understand that's taxpayers' money, that's my money and your money. What
Right.
I'm talking about is the city's money. It's not the taxpayers in Wooddale's money. Nothing has been contributed as far as the taxes you pay to the city of Wooddale directly to that project. There's been some misconceptions about that we were spending some of the city's money. The city spent some money on that bridge. That's what Alderman Ptolemy was talking about. But we did not spend any of your Wooddale money on this project. It's been funded by Metra, the county, and the state. And the money that we contribute, our match, was given to us in a grant. And I just want to make that clear. People are, they didn't want to pass the sales tax referendum because they thought that money was going to be used for the grade separation. So I was trying to clarify that. Yes, I understand that is taxpayers' money. People pay to the state for highway improvements. That's highway improvement money. Metra has money for safety. That's Metra's money. The county has a commitment to grade separations throughout the county. They participated. And Wooddale, as the lead agency, we were given money in a grant to use for that. We completed the feasibility study over 2 years ago, and we're into phase one. So I'm sorry if I've misled you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the city council this evening? Alderman Subak?
One last comment, though. What has been disturbing about this entire process is when this project started 9 years, I think it was before I was on the council, Mayor. I know this was one of your directions, and I don't know how you got initially involved in it, but we were always told that Wooddale, you're the lead agency, and if any time you want to pull the plug, Wooddale, you can do it. And so it made sense when we originally started this project to evaluate the situation. Try not to sit up here and just keep the status quo. Evaluate, you know, what can be done to make the city better. And it's for the first time, probably 3 months ago, I heard from the CT engineer, well, Wooddale, you are the lead agency, but it is ultimately an IDOT decision. IDOT will make the call. They don't want to make the call if the whole town's going to be against it, but ultimately it's an IDOT call. And that was a little bit disturbing because as much as there's probably distrust between public and your first level of government here, as you get higher up in the government, there becomes more distrust. But I can solidly say that when it was originally started, that it was always said, Wooddale, you're the lead agency. You can pull the plug up until the time the shovel's going to the ground. And that's changed a little bit, and I honestly don't know why.
Anyone else wish to address the city council? If not, I have 2 written communiques. First one's from the Addison Community Switchboard. Dear Mayor Johnson, on behalf of the Addison Community Switchboard, I would like to take this opportunity to personally thank you for participating in the recent National Food Checkout Day Race Against Hunger at your Wooddale Jewel Food Store. The food items containing ingredients from Illinois' largest crops, as well as the check in the amount of $775.41, presented to us will make a difference in the switchboard's ability to continue serving the citizens of Addison in need of assistance. The Addison Community Switchboard is making a difference for the citizens of Addison who are in need of help with food, clothing, and general assistance, including medical, dental, prescription, and housing. Without the many generous contributions and overall support received by the Addison Community Switchboard, our community outreach program would not be possible. Most sincerely, James Lombardo, Vice President of the Addison Community Switchboard. In the last meeting, we had acknowledgement from the Wooddale Food Pantry thanking for the gifts, the food donation in the amount of $2,100. Second letter is from the DuPage Water Commission. Dear Mayor Johnson, this is to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated January 19th, 2007, requesting a grant in the amount of $300,000 for the maintenance of Wooddale wells. The Board of Commissioners, at its February 8th, 2007 meeting, directed staff to distribute the tentative draft managed budget for fiscal year 2007-2008. The draft budget includes a combined water rate of 125 per 1,000 gallons and a $40 million rebate. Staff is proposing that the distribution of the rebate be made similarly to the method used when the Commission issued rebates for the fiscal years 1994 through 1998. If the Board of Commissioners concurs with this proposed methodology, Wooddale's portion of the rebate would be $744,402. When the Commission was evaluating the construction of backup generation at the DuPage and Lexington pumping stations compared to the installation of the backup generation at the customer utilities well sites, there was a question if the Commission could make grants to the customer communities for facilities not owned by the Commission. The issuance of rebates in this proposed budget permits the customer utilities to use these funds to make improvements for their water systems or to reduce the water rates to their customers. I am assuming that because of the rebated funds will more than cover Wooddale's requested amount, Wooddale will be withdrawing its request for the grant. If it is not Wooddale's desire to withdraw the request, please contact the Commission's General Manager so that the matter can be placed on the Commission's agenda. Signed, S. Louis Ratchey, Chairman. And I'll comment on that. In discussing that with the City Attorney, the thought is that go ahead and receive the grant for the $775,000 in reduced water rates, and then after that is processed, continue our request for the additional $300,000 because the Water Commission has more than sufficient money to cover both requests. So, any comments? If not, that concludes communications and petitions. To Mayor's report, may I have a motion to direct the city attorneys to drop the use of the Division Street right-of-way as any part of the grade crossing concept plan. Is there such a motion? Second. Is there a second on the question?
On the question,
Alderman
I
Subak.
think you want to direct the engineers, not the attorney.
Good point. Anything further? Roll call.
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisel? Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Talame?
Yes.
That passes. Second item under Mayor's report, I do hereby appoint Division Street Holy Ghost Safety Improvement Committee to be chaired by Marshall Subak. Also to serve on the committee, I appoint Steve Nyhoff, Anna Mancini, Joseph Menard, and Police Chief Frank Binowitz. And that concludes my report, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two announcements. The bid opening for the train depot reconstruction project has been scheduled for Tuesday, March 20th. We hope to begin construction by May. This is being funded through developer donations. Also, the new electric signs for the city of Wooddale have been delivered. You might have seen them out there in front of City Hall and on Irving Park. We've had some weather delays, and we are told they will be fully operational by next week. These were funded by hotel tax and part of the tourism fund.
That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there any objections to any items on the consent agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Some
Is there a
second.
second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Now may I have a motion to approve the items on the agenda, being approval for participation in Home Ownership Initiative Program, a resolution to adopt municipal legislative positions and priorities for the 2007 legislative session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisig? Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
yes,
Alderman Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Talame?
Yes.
That passes. Item 2 is approved as Resolution R-07-05. Brings us to Community Chairman Reports, Community and Economic Development, Alderman Talame.
No report?
Finance and Administration, Alderman Winger.
no report,
Public Health, Safety, and Judiciary, Alderman Pizak.
No report.
Planning, Zoning, and Building, Alderman Knight.
The first item is an ordinance granting approval of the consolidation of land in the city of Wooddale located at 372 West Irving Park Road, Wooddale, Illinois. I make that in the form of a motion.
Second?
On the question? Alderman?
Yeah, I have, I'd like to ask John a question, John Forrest, if I may. When we first looked at this, we were told that the land coverage was pretty close to the maximum, almost 80%, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Alderman, I've not had a chance to accurately figure the lot coverage on the latest submittals, but if they are in a B zoning district, depending on the size of the building, they could be allowed as much as 90% lot coverage.
90%.
Correct.
And the actual lot coverage is going to be how much? If
I
this
would have to
passes?
review the most recent site plan and get back to you on that, but they will be held to the standard.
Thank you.
Anything further? This is an extraordinary vote. Roll call?
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisig?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
No?
Alderman Winger?
yes,
Alderman Wesley?
No.
Alderman Talame?
Yes.
That passes.
Okay, the next item is an ordinance granting a special use for property commonly known as 372 West Irving Park Road, Wooddale, Illinois. I make that in the form of a motion.
Or
Second?
second? On the
Second.
question? Alderman Winger?
I have a question for the developer and or attorney, whichever you prefer. Are you acceptable as part of the conditional use to allow the Napa delivery pickup trucks, or to prohibit the Napa delivery trucks to not use the residential for turnaround traffic?
I think she's referring not to use a side street for turnaround of any traffic.
We can direct the Napa truck to use the commercial development.
And sir, you are going to need to go to the podium so people at home can hear what you're saying.
We can direct the Napa trucks in particular to use the turnaround in the commercial developments, which is probably what they will do anyway. I think it's, as a practical matter, very difficult to make that semi-turn into that street.
For clarification,
Alderman Winger.
I'm referring to the Napa pickup trucks that are gonna be making their deliveries daily, outbound.
Yeah, we can, I mean, anything under our control, we can basically direct them not to use residential streets.
Thank you.
But as I said, we wouldn't be out there policing every day. I'm not
Right.
sure We will certainly make that effort.
And you're acceptable as a conditional use to enter it into the conditions?
We will direct the Napa trucks not to use residential streets for turnarounds. If you're talking about to make that, to come back in the eastbound direction,
Right.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Wesley?
Let's back up here. How do you enforce that? I mean, how do you enforce that? We're going to have a hard enough time enforcing, I'm sorry, the truck going in at the right time. Now, let's go back to square one when I said, how many times are they going to be able to go in there at the time and they don't make the time? And again, how do we enforce that? Now you're looking at residential. Before we had a debate that we couldn't enforce it because other buildings in town on Irving Park Road, it was hard to enforce because there's other codes there. But now you're asking them to go out of residential. Now, how do we enforce that?
Mr. Williams?
If we get reports, and we would, of certain vehicles zipping up and down that area going, obviously, if they have Napa on them, we would know that that's a Napa vehicle. However, other people attempting to visit there, if they had to pull in, that might be difficult in enforcement. I did research the number of special uses that we had that was brought up at the last meeting. We have about 25 special uses, and they're basically enforced as needed. But it is difficult to enforce. I would agree, but it is enforceable.
So why, may I do a follow?
Alderman Wesley?
Why even bother putting that in there then? Because it's going to be impossible to enforce. Impossible.
Alderman Subak?
On some of the conditions we put in, item number 4, it says deliveries are limited to 1 delivery per day between the hours of 9 and 3. I think as drafted, it makes it seem like they can do 1 delivery a day between 9 and 3, and other hours they can do as many deliveries as they want. I think the intent of the petitioners and the council on putting this restriction was that the large truck would be 1 per day, and that truck has to be between 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So I think maybe to add a period and that clarify that it's only between the hours of 9 and 3. And then also, when I drove by the site over the weekend, where the drainage ditch is, there's a sidewalk, and it's a far drop off, and there's a railing right there, and I think the railing is very dilapidated, and it's actually a hazardous condition. And I'm asked the petitioners before tonight if they would agree to add that as condition number 8, that they replace the existing fence there, so to staff's recommendations. And I think they agreed, but we probably need them to agree on the record.
Petitioner?
We will correct any hazardous condition relative to that rail, and we will consult with staff.
Even though it might be in the right of way, but you'll agree to
Yeah,
do
well,
it.
that's still our responsibility and a potential liability for us, whether it's public right-of-way or not, if it's in front of our lot.
So we'd add that, Mr. Attorney, as line number 8.
Does the movement agree?
Yes,
Also subject to final approval by the attorney?
yes.
Who's the seconder? Seconder agree? Okay. Alderman Coles?
I don't think Ms. Swinger knows what she's talking about right now, because they're pickup trucks. And that would mean you'd have to stop every pickup truck that went through a side street, including Mr. Wesley's pickup truck, because that's what they use for delivery. They don't use semis for delivery.
Alderman Winger?
The intent of adding this in was that these pickup trucks are gonna have Napa written on them. They're probably blue and yellow. They're gonna stand out like a sore thumb. And if these trucks are burning a path down Dalewood Drive, day in and day out, then at least we have recourse. So it is important to be in here. Thank you.
Alderman Ptolemy?
I have nothing to say.
Anything further? This is an extraordinary vote. Roll call.
Alderman Cole?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisig?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
No.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Wesley?
No.
Alderman Talame?
Yes.
That passes. Item 1 is approved as ordinance O-07-08. Item 2 is approved as ordinance O-07-09. Anything further, Alderman Knight?
Mayor, that concludes my report.
Public Works, Alderman Subak.
Mayor, I had one item, my question was, it wasn't at committee level, why was it coming straight to council?
Mr. Bond?
Mr. Holmes not here, so I'll speak on his behalf. This is a kind of a standard operating procedure for the Department of Transportation, and it just makes sure that any work that's being done in the right-of-way is done in accordance with state specifications. So one of those things, you don't have a choice.
Okay, that's fine.
So you could have been told that at committee or been told that here, but it's one of those things that, they have to be done in accordance with specifications. So the thought was it could be brought directly to council.
Thank you. I'd make a motion then approving a resolution ensuring state highway construction work that is completed in accordance with state specifications and that the right-of-way is properly restored.
On the question? Roll call?
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisig?
Yes.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Talling?
Yes.
That's approved as Resolution R-07-06. We do not have any other business. We do need an executive session tonight for purposes of review of the official minutes, land disposition, collective bargaining, and personnel. Is there such a motion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Shockey?
Yes, I'd like to take the one item vacating Division Street right-of-way and not stop the meeting, but to come out after the executive session.
To
And make our
recess to
final vote.
executive session?
Recess rather than adjourn, please.
Is there a second? Second. Pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C21, 2C6, 2C2, and 2C1. Roll call?
Alderman Coles?
Yes.
Alderman Subak?
Yes.
Alderman Knight?
Yes.
Alderman Peisig? Alderman Shockey?
Yes.
Alderman Winger?
Yes.
Alderman Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Talling?
Yes.
That passes. We'll be back.